Very much, Anne, and we'll just take it from there straight away, talking about the plight of IDPs. I think it was yesterday, in fact, this week there's been a lot of focus, but yesterday primarily, several reports about those persons who have been apprehended, who were apprehended in Lagos as a result of the ongoing unfortunate scenario up north. And then yesterday as well, we do know the IDP camp in Benin also raising a lot of concern about their plight. Well, that's what we're focusing on, because those camps, many of them you don't know, but we've got some of those who actually know and have been to some of these camps to give us what have they seen, because the government is also looking to see how they can improve their lot. We'll start off with Emmanuel Olisameka, who joins us from Abuja. Morning, and thank you for joining us today. You've been to some of these camps, and then some of the things you saw, because even the vice president has been to some of these places, and they also have it at the back of their minds to see that they improve their lot. And then we'll talk about NEMA. Do you see all these agencies, or at least the effects of their visit in some of the camps that you've been to?
Yeah, thank you. Good morning. From the last time, I remember that yes, the government began to make efforts to, rate the suffering of the IDPs. The visit of the president, I believe, is a result of this visit engagement. But I must tell you that the camp are not as from what you see, in the pictures. Most of the camps, the ones in currently, yes, there's a sudden of the IDPs. Beyond fit, once in a while, but that's what the IDPs actually need at the moment. Have issues, have issues of health, have issues of nutrition, have issues of getting back to their basic.
The sound is undulating here, so if you could just give us a minute, we'll check a thing or two. Just hang on, Emmanuel. We'll be back.
The governor is taking on a tour of the facilities by the coordinator of the center. Interacting with them in Hausa and English languages, the governor and his wife assured them that they would not be evacuated from the center.
I want to convey to these children and to you the best wishes from Mr. President. I have assured him that Edo State government will take full control, will provide every support that you need.
We really thank God, and there is nothing we can give him. Only God Almighty will meet him at his point of his need in Jesus' name.
Briefing newsmen afterwards, the governor outlined other intervention the state intends to embark on, adding, however, that he was not informed about the botched evacuation.
First, to build standard primary schools and also a standard secondary school. So once we do that, we'll post qualified government teachers here, and the school will run at government expense, but it will remain under the mission control. We also build hostels.
Coordinator of the center and paramount ruler of the community could not contain their joy on the outcome of the visit.
500 bags of rice, 500 bags of rice again, 5 cows. Mr. Governor has come today to show that he's a father indeed and that he loves the children. And I really appreciate him for this.
It's the Lord's doing. I'm happy the governor is here. He has seen for himself. In short, everything now is bare open, unveiled to everybody.
Governor Shumule and his wife gave each child a pack of food and drink, an act of love and a show of commitment to the promises made.
What happens to be in one of the camps, the IDP camps in Benin, which we'll also focus on before the program winds down. But let me get back to Emmanuel, who was telling us about what he has seen in some of those camps. So, Emmanuel, some of the issues that, or perhaps what you may have seen, We understand that the authorities there are looking into it because, yes, you have those agencies, but many question whether or not they actually give the government the right and proper information that they can work with. Did you lose him again?
I hope not. I sincerely hope not.
Oh dear. So yeah, that concern had been raised by many who observe how proceedings actually turn out, hoping that, well, if the government of the day actually have a proper picture, who knows, they would have attended to those things perhaps a lot faster, because they've always said that, yes, we intend to ensure that those IDP camps and those who have been displaced are well attended to, because after all,
it's instructive to note that, you know, almost all the arms of government have visited. The executive arm of government's been there, the legislature represented by the Senate President, and some of his colleagues also visited as well. So let us hope that government is beginning to get a true picture of what exactly it looks like. But hey,
Emmanuel, go ahead, please.
Okay, thank you. Like I was trying to say, you see, it goes, what we are talking about here goes beyond executive visits or legislative visits. Though they are good in their own stead, they are very, very good. It's a sign that they are interested in what the sufferings of these people, and they want to find solutions as quickly as possible. But like we've always said, we got it wrong ab initio. There's no, you don't take a job of a carpenter and give to a tailor. It's not possible. So we believe, and what we've always championed and advocated for consistently, even with our direct.
I sincerely hope we've not lost him again, because he was just about to hit the nail on the head. What he was trying to say about this goes beyond. I mean, I wonder what he meant by this is not the job for a carpenter, or this is giving the job of a carpenter to a tailor. I'm not quite clear on what that exactly meant and how that fits in this scenario. But he says it's a good thing that the executive and the legislative arm of government have both visited, and but that it goes beyond that. So let us hope that we get him back in line. Emmanuel, are you there?
No, not yet. Not yet. But you know, one of the good things about this is we've got members of society who actually taking it upon themselves to go in there and ensure that those in those camps are also attended to.
Yeah.
They also have basic amenities, basic things of life like everybody else, at least most people are, some people out there.
That's the visual that we've been saying, because it's not, that camp was not exactly an IDP camp. It's a group, it's an NGO that has decided to take them in, you know, as part of its own belief that, you know, humanity can show, can be more humane towards its own and towards its own brothers and sisters, and it's part of their Christian belief. So that one is not exactly an IDP of government. It's not an IDP camp of government, and it also calls to mind the fact that, you know, some people just came back. Some Nigerians just returned from Cameroon. Recall that I think about 3,000 of them repatriated. Well, they deported, they came back, they are back in Nigeria, and they must be catered for.
They were taken to some
3,000 of them. I think I said 2 days ago, 3,000 of them were settled. Of the 12,000. So that we still have quite a number of them.
12,000 haven't come in yet. It's 3,000 that have come in, or 3,000 that have been processed.
That have been settled into IDP camps.
IDP camps. I do think we should get back to that point as much as possible, not just waiting for the government and agencies, where individuals or groups come together and help. Because what we're likely, or what might happen if nobody does anything, is where these children, especially the children, come up or grow up to be angry with society. Say, the society didn't care for me. I went through this due to no fault of mine. Society didn't care for me, and now they expect me to do this. Some of them, unless those that get the opportunity to be taught and get to know better, some might just decide that, hey, I'm angry with society and I'm going to take it out on the society. Because this is, I mean, this is Edo with this number. I do know that we had a guest one time who talked about the fact that there are a lot of other people who've been displaced who have not been accounted for across the country. So who is going to... What about the
ex-GOC's accounts of several persons in
Lagos arrested, in Lagos and Ogun? So who's going to account for those people? How do we find them? Again, we'll get back to your neighbor, your neighborliness, knowing your neighbor, knowing who's around you, the issues of state police and all of that.
Okay, let's, yeah, Emmanuel. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, Emmanuel, just go ahead and talk to us about what you've seen. You say it goes beyond agencies, I mean, legislature, executive, visiting.
Yeah.
Isn't that a start?
The visit of the legislature, vis-a-vis the Senate leadership visits and the Vice President's visit is a welcome development. I mean, for us, that's a high-level commitment. A visit is a commitment, a true commitment of desire and will to be able to change the current situation. However, we have always believed and advocated that the relevant agencies must do their work. What do we mean by that? In the Northeast, the 3 Northeast states, most especially the Borno state where you have the majority of the problem, there is an international cluster response that is going on there right now, headed by UN Office for Humanitarian Affairs, OSHA. And of course, it's a cluster of various UN cluster members. So you have UNICEF handling nutrition, you have Save the Children, you have WHO handling health purely, you have camp management, the entire cluster of the entire humanitarian response cluster is in full gear in the Northeast 3 states alone. Now there are other states within and around the Northeast that also houses a lot of IDP camps and settlements. These states do not have any form of cluster or direct response going on there, apart from what the State Emergency Management Agency is doing with the National Emergency Management Agency. Like their word, like their name connotes, they are purely an emergency management agencies. They are not humanitarian management agencies. That is where we got it wrong at the initial, and that is why you have the kind of situation you have in most of the camps. There is high level of malnutrition, vitamin E deficiency is on the increase, blindness, the childhood preventive blindness is on the increase. You have all sorts.
So what would you suggest? What would you suggest we do?
So what we have suggested consistently, and we believe and we hope that they are going to implement it the way we have said it. First, my organization have worked on this IDP for more than 2 years, and we've created a humanitarian response plan, which we've tried to submit. So we've also submitted and are hoping that they will work. Yes, what should be done first is that a local cluster of international and local NGOs who are all working within, the thematic needs of the IDPs across the 36 states of the Federation, or especially the states where you have a lot of IDPs, like we know, Lagos has IDPs, Edo State has IDPs, Taraba does have IDPs, Plateau has. In Benue State, you have IDPs, more IDPs as a result of ethno-religious violence and the Fulani herdsmen issues. You have a lot of them in Kwande local government, almost entire, or more than half of the senatorial districts, zone A senatorial districts in Benue State, have been sacked. I am aware of that. There is mitigation and intervention going on right now. So if you have a cluster of local and international NGOs, come together and create that cluster, because that cluster is important. The essence of that cluster is, one, to ensure that there are pure and direct deliverables based on assessed needs. And monitoring and evaluation will be easy for the cluster, using the cluster itself. For example, you have NGOs whose responsibilities or whose thematic focus is purely on health. So they take charge of the health. You have NGOs whose thematic focus is education. They take care of education.
So are you saying then, sorry to interrupt you, but are you saying then that the situation of the camps in the northeastern states, in some of the northeastern states, especially those directly affected by terrorism, are a lot better than what you are having in surrounding states? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, because, that's within the last 8 months.
Are you also exonerating then some of the government agencies that ought to have moved in by now?
No, you said if I'm exonerating them?
Yes, are you?
No, I'm not exonerating them. I'm actually indicting them because it is the failure of the government that, resulted to what we have today. That's why I talked about the issue of giving the job of a carpenter to a tailor. He can never get the job done. What we've seen over time is that a paramedic organization like NEMA have been given the responsibility of humanitarian response.
Yeah, but if you say that is not their job, if you say that's not their job, then you cannot blame them. If you give the job of a carpenter to a tailor, you cannot blame the tailor for not knowing what to do with wood.
Well, if you give the job of a carpenter to a tailor and the tailor takes the job, why is he taking the job when he knows he cannot do the job?
Emmanuel, the other question will be, what happens? You've been talking about those within the camps, but yes, there are those who are unaccounted for, a lot of displaced persons across the country who are unaccounted for. What can be done as regards getting them or getting their data and putting them together?
If you recall, thank you for that question. In February this year, February 2015, NOI polls, our #1 polling organization in West Africa, in partnership with our organization, Social Welfare Network Initiative, and Africa, we came out with a survey, an assessment survey of IDPs in Nigeria, and every IDP was captured within that survey. We are talking about those outside the camp, those living in settlement, those living in uncompleted buildings, those across the federation. We came out with that report, and that report has been submitted. That report forms part of the humanitarian response issue that we're talking about. So, in everything we have done and we're still doing, we have not neglected or forgotten those that are not in the camp, because the truth is, those in the camp form less than 10% of the entire IDP situation you have in Nigeria. It's a humongous humanitarian crisis. That's the truth. So you have, for example, in FCT, you have 46 IDP settlements, which many people confuse as camp. There are settlements all over the place. So those are people who live outside the camp.
All right, Emmanuel.
In so many other areas you have that. So when you create the cluster, what the cluster will do is that these people will be demographically, captured, and their needs will be taken care of by each thematic cluster member that will be responsible for whatever area they're supposed to intervene.
All right, Emmanuel Sameka, thank you very much indeed for talking to us, and well done.
Thank you, sir. God bless you.
We'll be back in just a moment, everyone. Don't go away.